Gabriel Marek said, I was just transcribing Bossa Antigua by Paul Desmond, then I came across the Kenny G version and realised he copies Desmond's solo note for note. I'm sure you've heard the joke that Kenny G gets into an elevator, or a lift as we say in this country, hears the music and says, "This rocks." Just being out shooting some buttery time lapses with this new wonderful, it's not called a cam lapse, this is a movie X lapse. Really works. You've just seen it at the start of the vlog. Today I'm going to do a Q&A and enjoy the weather as well. So welcome along to today's vlog. I don't know what's next. Played that tune for a long time. It's called The Mighty Sword by Joey Calderazzo, Branford Marsalis' piano player. We are going to be playing that at the Spice of Life in London on Wednesday the 1st of August. I've also got another gig, public gig at Audley End House, which gives me a chance to show you this drone footage. Special series of concerts they're putting on a Sunday afternoon. You can come along if you're in the local area. It's only 45 minutes from London. You can come out, picnic on the grass areas if there's any grass left. It hasn't all burnt away by then. And yeah, it's a really we did 2 gigs there last year. Great fun, great Sunday afternoon out. So I highly recommend coming down to both of those gigs if you can, or any of them. I'm doing 2 dates at Audley End, 29th of July and 12th of August, and then the Spice of Life. Then I have to take my family on holiday because I nearly forgot there's other gigs knocking around as well. Anyway, it's time for Q&A, which I haven't done for a long time, so let's roll that intro. A few weeks ago I mentioned the idea of putting together this practice journal to help you achieve your goals, and I'm going to do it. I'm still in the planning stages. It gives me a great chance in the sunshine to basically sit and think and get the plans out. Often over the summer holidays I get a little bit more time to think. So my target by the end of the summer holidays, so by the end of August, is I'll have my draft in place, and then I'll probably have to go around and get the funding for it, because I want it to work for all instruments. I want everybody who plays a musical instrument to be able to take advantage of this practice journal. It's not just going to be saxophone based. So thanks Rebecca for that comment. Comments about the 2 necks. Ellie White says, funny how Ben Wendell uses exactly the same neck and it gives him more sizzle in his Selma balance action, but I get a darker on a 6. I think we'll explain that probably in the video. A few comments about what's going on with the sax on the web, but I want to talk about this one by T.H. Worth. He says, nice tunes during the drone segment. What are your thoughts on how one's physical well-being impacts on one's musical well-being and vice versa? Definitely makes a difference. I mean, I certainly have got to say, if you're touring and you're not physically well, it's almost impossible to do, and yet the elements of touring that happens are kind of eating at the wrong times, eating the wrong food sometimes, not wanting to eat before a concert and then having this desire to eat straight after a concert, and then, you know, you're still eating fast food and things like that, and also you've starved your body. I'm really bad at that. That's how I've ended up putting on weight in the past, is kind of not eating before gigs, and then after gigs been starving, and then kind of like rubbing it all in. The last big tour I did was with a group called Passion a few years ago, and And what I did is I took my camera, and in fact if you click below on my Flickr page, what I did, I wasn't vlogging then, if I'd been vlogging it probably would have been better, but I went out with my 50mm lens and I just took lots and lots of black and white photos depending on where we were on the tour, and just used it as a photography project to get me out of the hotel room, because it's very, very easy when I'm touring, or when anyone's touring, to end up spending most of your life sort of going from hotel room to venue to airport or to the tour bus, and then kind of repeat and rinse, as it were. To be honest with me, mental health matters more to the sort of music I make and to where I am as an artist than physical health. Certainly, if I've spoken before about War of Art, and I mentioned about this behind, if Resistance is winning for me, which it has done a few days recently, I can feel pretty awful about my music and I don't want to play, and I really, really hate it. Gabriel Marek said, I was just transcribing Bossa Antigua by Paul Desmond, then I came across the Kenny G version and realised he copies Desmond's solo note for note. How come he's allowed to do that? Surely it's plagiarism. Kenny G never, as far as I'm aware, said that he was totally original. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay, so that could still be... Fly, go away! So the truthful answer is, I don't know that track well enough to be able to judge. I guess Kenny G's just kind of making a record and just doing what Paul Desmond does. It's great that you've picked it out, Gabriel. I am not going to say too much more about Kenny G because it just opens the comments up like a comment about Donald Trump. But yeah, I mean, I'm not overly familiar with Kenny G. I'm not overly familiar with Paul Desmond. I love his tone, I love his stuff with Dave Brubeck. It's just not something I've listened to a lot recently. It's not kind of the school that I listen to a lot of. It's just not why I find myself listening. But anyway, thanks for your questions. I'm sure you've heard the joke that Kenny G gets into an elevator, or a lift as we say in this country, hears the music and says, "This rocks." But joking aside about Kenny G, I remember kind of having a bit of a whinge, as a lot of jazzers do, about Mr. G, to a very established and far more successful saxophone player than me. He said to me, "Do you know what, Dan, a lot of people beef up on Kenny G, a lot of jazzers do," and he said, "but no one's ever really said, I've stopped listening to John Coltrane, Charlie Parker, Lester Young, Joshua Redman, etc, etc, and now all I listen to is Kenny G." But lots of people have found a way into the music through Kenny G. They started listening to Kenny G and then they found out these other guys. So a lot of jazzers ought not to beat up on him as much as they usually do. That said, when you see some of the interviews he's done, yeah. Wearing a white t-shirt, sorry, white shirt while doing this was not a great idea. Anyway, Amy's birthday party tomorrow, she wants to have all the paddling pools out. Problem is 2 of them have got punctures, so my job now is to try and find and fix these punctures.
This is the paddling pool. It has seats in it. Get the paddling pool out! Yay! I love you!
Right, can you go and wipe that seat down for me? Oh, so finished the activities in the pool. I hope that made some sense. Let's get myself in focus here. Charlie absolutely loves that 8-man camera. It's a good job it's cheap and he can lob it around. Heading out to finish off today's episode with some drone footage. The sun is just kind of hidden behind the clouds. The clouds are acting like a great big light box, and so you just get some really nice shades. It's not too blown out as we approach sunset. It's nice and warm. It's just overall nice as the sun hits me on the face just then. So that's all that you're going to hear from me today. I'm going to leave an ending to a vlog today, which is just going to be the drone rather than me hitting the camera. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please do hit the subscribe button. Please hit the bell notification button so that you know exactly when I launch a new... Exactly? Sounds like the old milk advert for Accrington Stanley. Anyway.
Accrington Stanley? Who are they? Exactly.
Sounds like the old milk advert for Accrington Stanley. Anyway. Make sure you know, I've just lost 2/3 of my audience with that reference there, but make sure you do check out what's going on, and I will see you really, really soon.
Lord, dear Lord, oh Lord, God Almighty, God above, please look down and see my people through. Lord, dear Lord, oh Lord, God Almighty, God above, please look down and see my people through. I believe the sun and moon will shine up in the sky when the day is gray. I know it's just clouds passing by. Give peace and comfort to every troubled mind. Come Sunday, oh, come Sunday.